So if word on the street is to be believed, Ring of Honor, when it does come back, is gonna have a weekly TV show. So if you're someone that wakes up in the morning like, man, there's so much wrestling, how am I gonna watch it all? You're gonna have to find another 1 to 2 hours in your life. And look, I watch all the wrestling. I don't think it's possible. But it does just mean that you have a bunch of choice, and I think that is awesome. And another show that happens on Friday nights is Aew Rampage, and it's time to review it. It's time to give it the Simon Miller rating. That's not true. The Finger of Power rating, which is this. So we give the good bits an up, we give the bad bits a down. Let's go. Darby Allin versus The Butcher was the first match on Rampage, and I enjoyed this for 2 very specific reasons. 1, The Butcher was happy to close his shop early and wrestle, and I respect that. But 2, it ended in a countout. And as I have said all the time, when you do only do these infrequently, when they do happen, I actually make noises. That's what happened here. When the guy said, and we'll win via countout, I was like, I couldn't believe it. So this is the reason why you should always limit these things. And while Darby Allin was able to get a few shots in here, this was basically The Butcher grabbing him round the neck and just hurling him all over the place. I mean, it was brutal. And at one point, The Butcher even got in the face of Sting. I don't think he was offering him a discount. I mean, The Butcher just caught Allin at one point when he jumped off the top rope and he threw him into the ring post. And this was proper Simpson stuff. If there had been a kid in the area, he would have been going, stop, he's already dead. This all built to them fighting on the floor again because they are a couple of mad people, which is when Darby hit a code red into the mat. And even though he had been beaten up, he was able to get in the ring, and The Butcher tried, but I also think he was trying to do the accounts in his head. He wasn't able to make the 10 count, which is when it did end in a count out. And like I say, I felt like I'd seen a ghost. The Andrade family office, whatever the hell they're called, were out afterwards, and they were in wreck mode. But of course, this is when the Hardys came out to make the save. And very upsettingly this time, Jeff Hardy didn't dance on his way to the ring. And I really do believe, Jeff, you should do that every time. It was funny. It meant that we had this standoff, and also that come Dynamite, we are going to do Private Party and The Butcher and the Blade versus the Hardy, Sting, and Darby Allin. So what flubbing universe am I living in? I actually genuinely never thought I'd see that, and yet we are days away. I'm giving it up. Scorpio Sky, Dan Lambert, and Paige Van Zandt were then cutting a promo, and yes, we have started to call Lambert the co-TNT champion. So if you were really quiet here, you could hear the internet melting down. This was mostly to establish the fact that they are all working together, because if I was going to be a betting man, I think we're going to get Scorpio Sky and Paige Van Zandt taking on Ty Conte and Sammy Guevara. So just take what I said a few seconds ago. I never saw it coming. As we did get promised on Dynamite 2, our next match was Leyla Hirsch versus Red Velvet, as we continue to tell the tale, oh my gosh, Leyla Hirsch has changed. And as I always say, I don't think she has. She just likes beating people up. They started the fight on the floor because they do hate each other, and when they got back in the ring, I tell you, Red Velvet was really riled up. And I don't know whether she's been working on this, but her fire was fire, to the point it came out of the TV, it hit me in the face, and I started getting riled up. Then I had to calm down because that's really weird. She just had to go for the punches in the corner though, which is when Leyla pulled her down, and my word, she gave her this overhead suplex, and because Leyla Hirsch is short and Red Velvet is taller, I honestly thought she was gonna land right on her head, but the last second she did rotate and she landed on her back, and thank Flubblesticks for that. This was kind of the theme too, because even when Hirsch had her in the cross arm breaker, because Red Velvet has longer limbs, she was able to reach the ropes. But in hindsight, she probably shouldn't have done that, because my word, Leyla got pissed off. Because she went to get that wrench thingamajig that she's been clonking people with, which is when Chris Statlander turned up. She took this wrench away and she's like, Leyla Hirsch, you're a bad person, you shouldn't be doing this. And when she got back in the ring, Velvet was waiting, she kicked her right in the face and she pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. So I like this. We're just sprinkling some seeds so we can go back to Leyla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander. And I know it was quite sports entertainment, but if you do it in doses, it's more than fine. I am giving it up. QT Marshall and Aaron Solar were then here, and QT Marshall has some kind of certificate of accomplishment that he wants to give to his best student, aka Hook. So this was just like a James Bond villain trap thingamajig where you just know what's going to happen. So Hook, I know you're going to turn up on Rampage next week and you're going to accept it, but for the love of everything, would you be careful? A lot of people are in love with you. The House of Black then murdered Bear Country and Fuego del Sol. I mean, my word. This was so cool though, because the Bears are so big that when they do get murked, it makes the opposite team, somewhat ironically, kinda come across like they're a bunch of animals. And Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews work so well together. They're meant to be bad guys, but you gotta flush that down the toilet. We all gonna cheer them. Del Sol was also trying to fly around the place, but every single time he just got swatted out the sky like he was some kind of a fly. So seriously, if you want to watch 3 people get absolutely destroyed in 3 minutes, you gotta go watch this. You definitely need to see the ending as well, because once again Del Sol tried to use his aerial offensive and he just got kneed right in the face. That's where Malachi Black did this moonsault thingamabong to the outside. Then Buddy Matthews hit that slam things that he does. He got the 1, 2, 3, and I lay down after this. I was like, how is that only like 180 seconds? It zoomed. It was nuts. It was crazy. It was the best thing on Rampage by a mile, and I'm absolutely giving it an up. Don't at me. So we absolutely do have to get them in a bigger story soon, and given that Penta Dark and Alex Abrahantes were here afterwards, it means that sooner or later we are going to do the House of Black versus the Death Triangle, probably with a returning Phoenix. And I don't know, as a human man, if I can take that. Probably just gonna drop down there. And then it was time for our main event, which was Keith Lee versus the Acclaimed. Now, it's actually Keith Lee versus Max Caster, but you know the deal with these two. If Max Caster's there, Anthony Bowens is there, and they always gonna work together and tell us everybody loves the Acclaimed, which is true. I really, really do. It also kind of sounds like that we may be doing something like Team Taz versus the AEW New Crew, because Ricky Starks was on commentary, and that's what he's taken umbrage with. I've been here since day one, and now all these new folk are coming into the mix, and I like it because this is my turf. Throughout all this, Keith Lee was just throwing Caster around like he was a pillow, and I think Powerhouse Hobbs must have been enjoying this for the back, because this is when he came out because he wanted to have a closer look. It was also when Max Caster basically stumbled Keith Lee a little bit with a drop kick. But then seconds later, Keith grabbed him and once again just threw him so hard I thought he was going to end up to the moon. I don't think we appreciate how big Keith Lee is. I mean, at one point, Max Caster was just on his back and Keith Lee was hurling him around. And after this, Caster actually thought he could pick Keith Lee up. So he tried, but much like a wrestling video game, all Keith Lee did was go, nah, that's not gonna happen. He hit the Big Bang Catastrophe. 1, 2, 3. I don't want to call this a squash match because it wasn't, but Keith Lee came across like an absolute beast. Hobbs and Starks flew in afterwards because of course they did, but this is when Swerve Strickland turned up with a chair. So there it is. Nice and simple. You do these two guys versus these two guys. They'll have a terrific tag match. You can also do the singles, which will also rock. It brought Rampage to an end, and it is getting it up. So as always, AEW just puts on a terrific 60 minutes wrestling show. I really would love it if more promotions did this. It's so hard to get 60 minutes wrong. Like you sit down and before you know it, it's ending and you're feeling all warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, which is why I'm giving it up. Now please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of AEW Rampage. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You know the deal. Head over to WhatCulture.com, watch more videos here on YouTube, including SmackDown ups and downs, because Saturday is a crazy, crazy day. When you are done there, come follow us on social media and we can have a chat. My name is Simon for WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me as always. Know that I love you, but not as much as I love Hook. See you soon.